I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a Boys Love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today is just a regular episode, but it's a good episode, I think.
And it's a new month.
It's an interesting episode.
Yes. Start of the last month of this season, too. We did it.
Well, this is the official announcement. We haven't actually told anyone.
Well, now you know.
Now you know. Yes.
Many more things to come this year.
Are there?
We need
what?
We need a pause. We need a break.
What's coming?
You never know with Let's Talk BL. We never know with Let's Talk BL.
How long of a break is coming?
Who knows?
It's all very cryptic.
It is.
With Beth Ann.
You know, it's how I like to roll.
So today we are talking about being in a BL Rut because it happens to everyone. It happens to me a lot. It happens to Beth Ann almost never because you're always watching like 85 shows at a time.
I know. It's funny. I was thinking about this because our friend Robbie was also talking about this recently.
And Trevor, always. Trevor is like the king of being in a BL Rut.
Yeah. And I think I never get into a BL Rut because I kind of have a routine. So I was that kid back in the day that had a calendar of shows every single day. I had my 9 p.m. shows and my 10 p.m. shows. Sometimes I had to tape record a show.
Oh
yeah. I don't think
I ever learned how to work a tape recorder. Like my grandma had one.
Oh, no.
But like I never learned how to use it.
I know how to set it. I had a TV VCR combo that I took to college, so I didn't miss a show.
And still to this day, you never miss a show because you are always watching at least 4 or 5 shows at a time, I think.
I also tend to switch it up. Like right now I'm watching a K-drama. And then sometimes occasionally I'll watch an American show.
But you are always watching multiple BLs at once.
But yeah. I would say I just wrapped up. I'm trying to think how many I'm watching right now. It's not a ton. But
what does not a ton mean to you, though?
I guess we're watching Hen Borscht. I'm watching Love Mechanics. I'm watching Checkout. I just finished To My Star.
To My Star 2.
I'm always rewatching Secret Crush on You because I have a problem.
Which, by the way, I just want to point out yet again that when I started watching Secret Crush on You, you were like, how dare you?
It's because
why are you watching this?
It's because you people gave it a bad name. And I was like, why am I going to watch something that everybody hates? But I should know. I'm not a follower. So, of course, I would love it.
I watched it despite being a follower, I guess.
I'm also currently watching the War of Why trailer on repeat because I'm obsessed with this new trailer that came out today. So, yeah, I would say I rarely get into a BL Rut. If I'm like, what do I want to watch today? I'll usually just go on a streaming service, and especially Gaga, because I love to watch those short films that they have. I'll just go through and like binge like a handful of those because they usually are like 10 to 20 minutes long.
See, I'm always in a BL Rut because I'm slightly picky about what I watch.
Right.
And like I won't just watch something for the sake of watching it. Like it actually, even though I was the first one to watch Secret Crush on You, it took a lot of convincing.
Right.
Like it came down to a couple of our listeners were like, no, genuinely, and they're like people that I trust, whatever. Yeah. That I was like, okay, let's give this thing a try.
Right.
And I wasn't watching anything else. And so, but I'm actually pretty picky about what I watch and whether like I'm not just gonna stick with a show or start a show just because like a boy is cute. So like
yes.
I
powered
like,
through Gen Y season 2.
I won't just watch a show for the sake of watching a show, I guess. Like I won't just watch a show because like I don't know, people are talking about it. You know what I mean? Or because it came out. Like I generally like I want to have a reason to be interested in the show.
Which is interesting because you said you rarely read a synopsis. So what is it that like draws you to a show?
The trailer.
Oh,
if I watch the trailer and it looks like it has a good storyline, I'm big on storyline. If the storyline looks like garbage, I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to be fair, that has catfished me a few times because there have been times when a trailer has made the plot line seem like amazing and so cool and so smart. And then I watch it and I'm like, where's the story? I'm like, what happened here?
It's always funny. I feel like the GMMTV trailers specifically do this like bait and switch where trailer 1 looks like something, and then they really develop the show, and trailer 2 feels like something totally different.
See, I never get that. You always say that about GMM TV shows. I never do. What it feels like to me is not so much a bait and switch, and more that they took the first trailer and just developed it. There's more of a story. Right. And so as like a storytelling person, for me, it's less of like, this is something different and more of like, okay, we've like developed this. This actually has a storyline now.
We got that Taco Time money.
I think is why, no, they're not the ones with the Taco Time.
They got the Texas chicken money now. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not the ones with the Taco Time. No. Which, by the way, is another show that you're watching right now.
Yep.
Yeah, Secret Admirer or My Secret Love. It used to be called Secret Admirer.
The one that has a bunch of titles.
Yeah. It's Taco Time with My Secret Love, in case anyone's wondering. It's always Taco Time. I think part of the reason I'm always so excited to watch that show every week is that I'm like, it's Taco Time.
How are they going to integrate Taco Bell into this episode? Yeah. And y'all, I love Taco Bell.
It's always
Taco time. Merch.
But yeah, I feel like for me, so because of that, I'm always in a BL Rut. I'm always in a situation where I just won't be watching anything for a hot minute.
Right. So how did you then watch stuff like Cause You're My Boy and like these random ones that are super old?
So here is my first piece of advice as we get into the episode, which is what to do if you're in a BL rut and you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Helpful. We're not just going to talk about being in a rut. We're going to talk about how to get out of it.
Yeah.
My first piece of advice.
Expert opinion.
Right, because I'm always in a freaking BL rut. Yeah. And so I have devised tools to get out of it.
Yeah.
One of my tools is I will go back and I will just look for super old stuff that I feel like I haven't heard anyone talking about, or I like heard somebody talking about, but then I got distracted by another show. Like, because this happens all the time, right? These big shows will come along and then we just kind of forget about everything else.
Yeah.
And I'll go back, and especially if I love watching the super old ones. So that's my first piece of advice is if you're in a BL rut, go back and go like 2017 and earlier.
Oh, so
nothing
good.
Later than 2017. 2017 and earlier, and just watch all those super old ones that like you've never really watched, but you always hear people talk about and you're just curious about. That's my first piece of advice to get out of it, because yes, Cause You're My Boy is another one. So very rarely do I watch a BL before you, because you're always watching 85 things. I'm not. And also because I'm a binger and you're a live watcher. So I tend to watch it after you anyways.
Right.
Cause You're My Boy is one of the ones like Secret Crush on You that I did first. And it was because I was in a BL rut and I couldn't figure out what to watch.
Right.
And I just went back, and I had recently watched Tale of a Thousand Stars. At the time, I had just watched Tale of a Thousand Stars.
Did you go into that hate watching it for Drake?
No, because remember, A Tale of a Thousand Stars is when I discovered I didn't
had your
hate
Drake awakening.
Yes, I didn't hate Drake anymore. So I was like, okay, I need to go back and see what I've avoided because I thought I hated him.
Oh my god.
And so I read the synopsis for that, and the synopsis for that, because I was trying to figure out like, okay, what did I avoid because I thought it sounded stupid versus did I avoid it just because I didn't like Drake?
I cannot imagine what the synopsis for You're My Boy is.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I remember reading it, and it's like one boy, I can't I wish I could remember how it was
the plot line for that show.
But it was like so Drake's character is selling porn. This is like his side hustle. He sells the porn.
Right.
And he has to pretend to be Frank's boyfriend. Like, it's a whole thing. And the synopsis makes it sound clinically insane.
The best part.
And I was like, okay, I clearly avoided this one because I thought I hated Drake, so I'm going to watch it.
And the best part is we have Poohin and
Neo. Right, which I didn't even know was a thing.
When they were legitimately 14 years old.
Yeah. So that's my first piece of advice is go back and watch the really old ones. I also recently was in a BL rut. Although, so there are two kinds of ruts, I think. There's a rut where you're just not watching anything.
Yeah.
And then there's a rut where you're like, only watching the big shows that are out right now. So for me, that was happening with Kin Porsche, where it was like I was watching Kin Porsche live and I was like, I'm not like, what else is there to watch besides just like looking forward to Saturdays?
To add to that list, another rut is when you've just finished a show that's like changed your life.
Right, it's so good.
And you like you can't fathom getting into another
How can
story.
anything ever be as good? This happened to me with You're My Sky.
Yeah.
Jude My Katong Fa.
Yeah.
But so I recently was in a BL rut. This was post Jude My Katong Fa, because Star in My Mind pulled me out of that. Star in My Mind really like I watched the first episode of Star in My Mind and I was like, this has filled the hole in my heart that You're My Sky left. Like, I literally said those words.
Yeah.
So this was past that rut for me.
Oh, and I'm watching Sky in Your Heart.
Yeah.
If you're taking notes, how many
I think
shows?
that's 5 now for you. So I was recently in a rut where I was like, okay, the only thing I'm watching is Kin Porsche, because it was before Love Mechanics had started and before I had started watching My Secret Love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, there's nothing else for me to look for. Like, I only have one show to look forward to, and it's live. I can't binge it, right? Because it's part of the reason I like binging is because I can just like keep watching. The story, I don't have to wait.
Right.
And I recently, and so this whole like, let's go back and watch super old BLs. I've recently gotten into Atlas, you guys. This is like my thing.
Bound to happen.
It was bound to happen. We always have to talk about Atlas. I found Atlas like earlier on, and I just like went like, I have got like, we're off the deep end for Atlas at this point.
Are you gonna get a compass tattoo at some point?
No, because that's not like their thing.
But that would be really cute.
I know. But so I'll just get all 7 members' names.
Oh my god.
No,
Calm
anyways,
down.
Anyways, I'm really into Atlas right now. And I was like,
which is a T-pop group. If you're unaware, yeah.
Yes, Atlas. I'll put a card here somewhere that's like Atlas. Anyways.
Link to all the things.
So I was in this BL Rut, and I was like super into Atlas, which was like kind of carrying my like rut that I was just like bored all the time because I only had one show to look forward to.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I got so into Atlas. It's all starting to make sense. Also, because there's so many things about Atlas. There's so many things. Here's the thing. It was one song got me, and then I just went, and because I remember.
How did you discover that song?
Okay. Let me walk you through the Atlas timeline, people. Okay.
This is the episode that she gets to talk about Atlas and then never again.
This is not an actually, when we get back into how Atlas broke me out of my BL Rut.
Okay.
I will get to talk about Atlas again. I will make it happen. Believe you me.
Atlas, come on the podcast.
I have been really wanting to like get into T-pop because I love K-pop. We talk about this a lot, right? I have always been like a boy band kind of girl. Always been my jam, like since I was a child, right? Like been into boy bands. I was into Dream Street. I was into One Direction. I was like all of them.
Yeah.
I was an NSYNC girl, not a Backstreet Boys girl, by the way.
Can't win them all.
Everyone picks one, and I was an NSYNC girl. Backstreet Boys was a little before NSYNC, I think, too, which is probably, and I'm like. So it was the right age range for me. I had like I remember seeing like an NSYNC poster in my friend's room as a child, and I remember like being highly confused as to like why I thought a boy was cute. Like it was my first time ever thinking a boy was cute. It was very weird for me. Anyways, always been into boy bands, and so I've been like really wanting to get into T-pop. Like the heart is willing. The heart is so willing.
I mean, we're SB5 fans.
Right. I was like SB5. I love Baz's little Lonely Brain, right? This is my jam. Yeah. Okay.
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. Yes, SB5, right? So like SB5. This is part of the reason I'm so into Cute Boy Thailand is like one of the main elements of Cute Boy Thailand is they become a boy band together.
It's true. There's like 20 of them too.
I know.
And 17, watch out.
And so the heart has been willing for so long. So I remember watching the T-Pop of the Year Awards put on by T-Pop Stage, was hosted by Saint, which I watched for, the saint of it all. Mm-hmm. And Atlas had performed Mayday Mayday, which was their debut song. And I was like, oh, this is cute. Like, I was like, this is nice. Like, this is a whatever. Like, this is a song. But I wasn't like...
It didn't hit.
I had discovered Trinity in this whole situation when I was watching.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I got into Trinity. And so, like, my brain couldn't handle... Mostly because I was trying to figure out, is he Porsche or Porsche? And that took up a lot of my brain space. Anyway.
Names are important to us.
Yes. So, I remember seeing Atlas and... choosing Trinity over Atlas, essentially, is what happened in that moment.
They're less boys.
Yeah, true. 3 versus 7. And so then I'm on YouTube. I'm in a BL Rut. I'm just like scrolling the YouTube algorithm as I am known to do, which sometimes gets some people in trouble because the YouTube algorithm, it knows what I need. It knows what I want. And it shows me the things. And it is what it is.
Sometimes you don't have to search. It finds you.
Yeah, it finds you. So Lole. The music video for Lole popped up. And I love that kind of aesthetic. Like that summer jam aesthetic with like half the boys have brightly colored hair.
Yeah.
Like it is my jam. The song was super catchy. The song had the word "sia" in it.
I feel like we watched that together when you first watched it, or had you watched it?
No, I had already watched it, and I was like showing you.
Okay. I was like, I know we watched it together.
Yeah. Because I was like, Beth Ann, you have to watch the BL moment in this music video. There's a BL moment. So they say the word
that looks like Kauna.
They say the word "sia," right? And I was like, oh my God, "sia," of course. And also all of the boys were so cute. The song was super catchy. I really liked the choreo. One of the boys looks like Kauna, and I was like, Beth Ann needs to know about the Kauna lookalike. Yeah. And one of the boys looks like a friend of ours. And I was like, how hilarious is this? Like, how funny is this that this boy looks like this kid we know? Yeah. And so there was just so many things, all the things. And I just loved it so much. And then I started getting into them and I like watched more stuff. And it happened to be like literally a week before Mr. Lonely dropped. And that song is just so good.
It's so
and
good.
now, and so I guess technically I've been around for 2 Atlas comebacks.
Cute.
I know. And so this brings us around to how Atlas pulled me on my BL Rut. So I was in a BL Rut trying to get into T-pop. This is the piece of advice of like, go back and watch old BLs. Is I was like, surely out of 7 of them, one of these boys has been in a BL. I was like, surely. I was like, I know this is a thing. I could feel it in my bones, right? And so I get on the My Drama list, as you do. You get on My Drama list, and I'm searching around, and I was like, yes. I was like, I've done it. I've made the 2 worlds converge. Nice. The boy who looks like Kauna a little bit.
So cute.
He's also precious. He also was early on one of my favorite members, because my favorite thing about Nice is when he laughs, he looks like he's in pain.
Yeah.
And it's endearing. He was in Make It Right with Ohm. And when I like decided that I loved Ohm, I watched Make It Right, but I had fast forwarded through everything that wasn't Ohm's storyline. Just, I'll be completely honest. So I had no idea what that show was actually about. Yeah. And I was super into Nice and I was super into Atlas. So I was like, I'm going to go back and rewatch Make It Right. And here's the thing that I will say about Make It Right. It totally broke me out of my BL rut, because part of watching these super old BLs to pull you out of a rut is it makes you remember what you love so much about the like classic BL, right? Because it has all the tropes and it does all the things. Make It Right is really problematic. It's more problematic than I knew.
Evolution that we've come on.
Yes. Yeah. Make It Right is way more problematic than I think I knew when I first watched it.
Right.
But it reminded me of like all the things that I do like about BLs, and it like really helped pull me out of the rut, and I was like excited to watch shows again. Yeah. So that's another reason of why watching like an older BL I think is good to pull you out of a rut, is because it makes you remember like why your it's roots. Exciting to watch BLs anyways. You know what I mean? Like why you first fell in love with BLs.
Yeah, I would agree. I also, so while I watch literally every show that's airing, I also usually have a show that I'm binge watching for like, the 1 hour that you're not watching that show. 1 hour
of your day. Yeah. That is not already.
The one show that isn't like coming out that day, I'll like add another show. And I did that with Lovesick, because I was like, I hear everybody talk about Lovesick. Lovesick was one of the first BLs that...
And we love White.
We love White. Literally everybody was in. It's highly problematic. I need to watch season 2 because it sounds insane. I'm not sure where. But we also started watching...
Hey, Junior, let us know.
Yeah. But we also started watching Slam Dance for...
Yes, that's what I was about to say. We have also, thanks to Atlas, I have started watching Slam Dance, another one that like I had heard of, and which
it's
by the
not
way,
a BL.
This is some like insider info, because it's actually nowhere on the internet that Erwin was in Slam Dance. You have to do like a deep dive, which I have done, because like it's my mission now that I somehow have a flimsy excuse to have Atlas on this podcast.
Right, because if you're not aware, My Drama List is like crowdsourced.
Right, it's like Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And so I ended up finding out because, fun fact, Erwin and Drake grew up in the same town. Like they're from the same place.
Everyone in
they
Chiang
went
Mai
to
knows they're single.
Everyone in Chiang Mai. they went to the same like drama school, like acting school. Yeah. And so they like know each other. They acted together, and Drake was in Slam Dance, which I think it might be how like Erwin got that role. Anyways, Erwin is in Slam Dance. So we started watching Slam Dance for Erwin.
Are they the same age?
No. Erwin's younger, I think.
I mean,
I like never 19. Know how old Drake is. Then they're the same age.
Cute.
I always assume Drake is like 34. I don't know.
No, he's so young. He's one of those pooins who has been in the entertainment industry since he was like 12.
I think that's why, because I'm like, oh, Drake's been around forever. Like, surely he's like 85.
No. 85.
I don't know. Yeah, so we're watching Slam Dance for Erwin.
Not a BL, but has a BL storyline.
Done. Drake and sings.
A while.
Which is crazy to watch.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many partners Sing had.
Sing is a bad guy and not me, if you're trying to figure out who we're talking about. He's Todd.
Shipped with Janhae IRL.
Yes.
Because he gets partnered with Plume for Our Sky and something else. They like were established in something else because Our Sky is like developed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, it's a fascinating watch. Guy is also in it with a shaved head. It's very confusing.
So
yeah, that's my first piece of advice is go back and watch old BLs. Because I think for a lot of reasons, it like number one, it reminds you why you like BL so much in the first place, right? Like you're bound to find one of the tropes that you loved.
Yeah.
It's also fun to see these actors that you know so much from other things as babies, basically. Because watching these kids, like I remember like even Drake looks so young in Slam Dance compared to what he looks like now, even though he's still young, right? And like when they flash on the screen, and like the Pooh and Neo of Cause You're My Boy and things like that, it's like, whoa.
It's always fun to play that game when you're watching a show. And I remember feeling this when I first got into K-dramas and now being into Thai dramas, because I also watch a few straight Thai dramas.
Right. I'm watching Mama Go-Go right now.
Right. I don't know how straight that is.
Well, there's no BL element yet.
And so it's always fun to play that game of like, oh my gosh, I've gotten so far into this culture's dramas that I know so many of these
actors, right,
from like other things.
Well, and it's my intention to watch Dirty Laundry when it comes out. I'm actually so excited about Dirty Laundry.
Did you finish Friend Zone?
No. I'm sorry, I tried. The heart was willing.
Season 2 is much better.
I watched season 2 for Apple. I never finished season 1. I finished season 2 for Apple.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all you need to watch.
I watched season 2 for Apple.
Oh, season 2 was so good.
So yeah, piece of advice number 1, watch an older BL.
Right.
Piece of advice number 2 that I have from me, if you're trying to break out of a BL rut, is to go and watch a non-BL drama from one of the companies that tends to make BL dramas. So like a GMMTV, or kind of like you were saying, you'll just go on Gaga Ooh La La, or sometimes I'll just go on Viki, because then it introduces me to like direct, because I'm the type of person where like if I really like a show or I really like an actor, I'll go look them up, or I'll look the director up, and then I'll notice half the time they've done a BL, and then I can go watch that BL, and then it gets me back into the BL world.
Smart. Yeah, there's so much tangential stuff. Like Friend Zone, for example, has Singto,
right?
And who else is in?
Well, in Singto's storyline in Friend Zone is a BL storyline.
Yes. You also have either AJ or JJ, who has
the eternal question.
Who has
either AJ or JJ?
Yeah, he has a BL storyline in Friend Zone season 2. But yeah, there's the first Thai drama that I watched was a straight drama, which you need to watch because it has Mond in it, which is Boy for Rent.
I do love Mond so much.
And the other Boy for Rent is Lee, who was like my very first Thai straight boy crush.
I do love Lee in so many. He's great in Mama Go-Go right now, actually, and I do love him in Friend Zone.
Yeah. But there's so many just like fun little short things that you can watch across kind of all the platforms. Of course, YouTube.
Right.
The other thing that will sometimes get me out of a rut is watching fan edits or compilation videos.
Yeah, I feel like if you love the ship, like the responsible shipping. Throw the word responsible in there because lately, y'all, it has been getting out of hand. If you need to go rewatch our ships episode to like be reminded, I will not lecture you, but like
be cool.
Some of you guys need lectures. I'm just saying.
Be cool.
Yes, that is a great piece of advice for like getting out of a rut is to find a new couple.
Yeah. I've gotten into a few couples that like have made me excited for shows that are about to come up. Net James have done a ton of ship work that's so cute, and it's like well developed ship work. It's like they go on a date together and it's like a whole vlog of them going on a date. Maz Banker killing it with the ship work going into Big Dragon the series. Right. And I think for me, the way that I've started to view ship work is that it's another show. It's just more of like what our reality shows are, right?
Where remember, like, it's an RPG. Right. We're all playing an elaborate game with each other in this one.
Where it's not, you know, it's like we have this here, right? We have the Kardashians. We have a lot of these, like I had the Hills when I was younger.
It's basically it's reality, but it's scripted.
Right. And so it's one of those things where like we always talk about how we have to wait for a show and we're so frustrated because like these shows aren't being produced quick enough. And it's like, well, you get to watch a show. It's just like these two guys going on a date
selling
to the
Laneige.
Yeah, or they're selling Laneige. And so I think that's the best way to go into it, because then you don't project some kind of weird thing onto these two guys. You're just viewing it as another TV show,
right?
And like thinking about these characters, they just happen to be named the same thing, and they're playing versions of themselves,
right? It's an elaborate game.
But yeah,
I think that's like that leads into like one of my other pieces of advice, which is like find something else that you like that's like associated, right? Like my whole story with Atlas, right? Is that like I got super into Atlas. And it led me back into, you know, breaking my BL Rut. But like finding something else you're into, which for me is always the music or the dancing. I love watching dance covers. And so like, for example, like I have slowly started to rewatch or start watching shows with these Element boys.
Yeah.
Because...
Shout out to WhatsApp Man. If you have not watched that show, go watch it. It's actually so good.
Shout out to The Moment I Need You in the Moment Since, actually.
Yeah.
Which is what I have been rewatching. Because so Bank from Element is in that show. And because I like boy bands so much.
You'll give them all a try.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to say it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess that's my other piece of advice is like find something that you like that is separate, and then it could lead you to finding a show that you had never watched before. So for example, if you're like getting into the whole Element thing because of the other boys, maybe give The Moment I Need You and The Moment Since a try, because most people have not watched that. And it's a Star Hunter show. It's on YouTube. Bank from Element is in it, and they're outstanding, super quick, easy watches.
Yeah. It's behind their subscription now, but like totally worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah.
I've also considered reading some of the books that have been translated into English, because I used to be really into reading book versions of movies or TV shows. Of course, like growing up during like the Hunger Games era and Harry Potter, all that stuff. Also being a North Carolinian, Nicholas Sparks was a big one there for a while, because you had The Notebook and you had A Walk to Remember and all that stuff. So I read all those books. So that's another way to get into it, and also to kind of support where this all starts, right? Like I've had a lot of people recommend the webtoons to us and things like that. It's just that like I don't have time for some of this.
Yeah,
I just haven't like ventured into it.
I just have PTSD because I am a reader, that like for me, as somebody who is a very dedicated reader, like I actually started my whole like stan life in books.
Right.
Like that was where I actually was introduced to shipping and ship culture and things like that. Is I was an avid reader. Like I read, like I was, if anybody remembers back, if you went to school in the United States and you went to elementary school during a certain period of time, they had this program called Accelerated Reader, AR.
Oh yeah.
And you would get AR points, and then you could use the points to like you would get points by reading books, and you could use the points to like buy little prizes. And I would always
to go roller skating.
See, I would always use my points to buy more books.
Yeah.
You could use your points to buy books. And so I actually, when I was like kind of older, the Harry Potter series came out, and I actually used my AR points to buy almost the entire Harry Potter series. Like my parents never once had to buy one of those books until the end, because I was like, at that point,
out of elementary school.
Yes, no longer AR eligible. But so because of that, I actually have some pretty strong like PTSD, and which is why I can understand why people get so upset when they're like, this isn't like what's in the novel. Because like, here's the thing about, for me, I never wanted to read the book after I saw the movie. Like, I feel like you have to read the book before you watch the movie, because otherwise you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're not being true to the source material, and you're not, because then when you go into reading the book, you have, instead of letting the writer, the author in the book kind of paint this picture for you, you go into it with a picture in your head of what it should be, right? It's guiding you. And I just think that like, the literary world is such a magical one. I actually have a master's degree in publishing. I love books. I love publishing. I love all of this. That like I view them as two very different things. And I think it's a disservice to read a book after you've seen the movie, because I think it biases you, essentially. So because of that, I actually prefer not to read novels or read books of TV shows that I've watched after I've watched them.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think that it colors your perspective. And then like on the flip side, like my favorite Harry Potter scene in the book was left out of the movies, and I was heartbroken. Like I literally cried in that theater and almost walked out when they didn't include my scene. Like my favorite scene in the whole series of books.
Interesting.
And like, same thing, I read all of the Hunger Games novels like long before those movies were ever even like gonna be produced.
Yeah.
And there's some inaccuracies, some things that were changed, and it just like, it annoyed me. And so I feel like either way, for me personally, it colors one or the other. Either I'm annoyed that they've left something out of the book, or there's some inaccuracy from the book, or I go into the book with this like expectation in my mind, and rather than letting the story and the author paint the picture for me, I already have a picture in my mind, which is I don't think as fun of a reading experience for me personally.
I can see that. I think for me, I don't judge them against each other. I usually, if I've watched the movie first, I'll go into the book being like, that was a fun synopsis, because specifically with like the Harry Potter things, you could never make a movie word for word from the book. So I always knew going into those that it was going to be kind of a general idea of what the books held. So the books kind of give you more context to the movie. And so a lot of times that's what I do with, like, for example, the A Walk to Remember. I love the movie more because the book was set in, I think, like the 40s or 50s. So it was hard for me to imagine that time, whereas A Walk to Remember was set in modern time in the movie. And so I held those in two very different views. So I try not to like look at both of them in the same way, because I know that like people are going to flourish, kind of like what they're doing with Kin Porsche, where we're like, I'm glad that they changed that from the book to
that's
the show.
The other thing that gets tricky about reading the books and then getting into the shows, or vice versa, is that you do have to have, and again, this would have saved me so much heartbreak in like the world of Harry Potter. Honestly, the biggest disappointment for me was Ella Enchanted. If you read those books and then you watch those movies,
books.
Oh my God, the books are incredible. The movie is garbage. Yes.
Yeah.
The books are an incredible, magical, beautiful world. The movie is garbage. And it was so sad for me because I loved that book so much. Anyways, same thing with Princess Diaries.
I did love the Princess Diaries. But here's the thing.
You have to view them as, I would have saved, if I had understood this as a teenager, I would have saved myself so much heartbreak. Is you have to view them as two things that are in no way related to each other. Because I keep seeing people get in these fights on Twitter about Kin Porsche, about where they're like, well, if you read the novel, you know this and this and this. And I'm like, y'all, they are two very different things.
I don't even think the series makers read the novels. So like,
I mean, they do. We know that they do. But like, no, they're like, again, I would have saved myself a lot of heartbreak had I realized earlier on that I need to approach them as two very, very, very different things where like maybe they share a title and some character names and that's it.
This is like a 2 Moons and then 2 Moons 2 situation.
Well, 2 Moons and 2 Moons 2, it's the same storyline. It's just like
developed more
faster.
Into it. That's the tricky part is when you go on to social media and people are like, well, yeah, in the book they did this, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it gives a little context to certain things, but the show does need to be viewed kind of as its own entity.
I think it also kind of sometimes starts unnecessary fights because again, I understand this being like a book nerd and being one of those people. I get being so attached to these literary worlds that you live in, because like I'm one of those people. I get into book ruts too, where like I will read a book that has like changed my, like I can't imagine there being a world outside of a book that I've read so many times. And it's so upsetting. And so I completely understand why these fights happen about like the novel versus the series. And people will be like, you just don't understand because you haven't read the novel. And it's like, again, we would all save ourselves so much just like time arguing with each other. Yeah. But I get it. I do, because like these worlds that these incredibly talented authors have like built and created, I mean, it changes you as a person, especially if you're like an avid reader. It really does.
I know. I would like to read some of the books for the side couples.
I want to read You're My Sky. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is one where I am very curious, because speaking of BL Ruts, the thing you were talking about, another way to get into BL Rut is you watch a show that like changes you. Yeah. And that happened to me with You're My Sky from Ep 1. Like I was so attached to these characters from episode 1. Not dumb. That I never dumb. When that show ended, I didn't know what to do. I was like, how do we go on? Like, do you even watch any more BLs? Like, do we watch shows? Yeah. I don't think we watch any. Like, truly, I was like, I don't think I like BLs anymore. Like, I had like a BL existential crisis. I liked that show so much.
BL existential crisis.
Truly.
If you've ever had a BL existential crisis, that's hard to say.
Existential crisis.
Yeah. Tell us, because I'm curious
what caused it. What show caused it?
Was it a ship? Was it a show? What was it that made you question your BL life?
Because truly that show ended, and I was like, I don't think I like BLs anymore, because nothing can possibly ever bring me the same joy that this brought me. Like, truly, I had like, I was concerned. I had a podcast at this point. I was invested, and I was like truly concerned for myself.
Ayla went on for you guys.
Yeah.
Our dear sweet listeners and friends.
Jung and Dunk saved me. Yeah. Truly the saviors I deserve.
Thank you, GMMTV.
Thank you. Anyways, so that being said,
so good.
You're My Sky, Jude My Katongfa, caused a rep for me. I still have a little bit of a hole in my heart when I realized that like that magic is never gonna happen again. Yeah. It can never be replicated.
It was magic.
Those 6 boys together, like in those characters, in that setting, like we can never replicate this. We will never get it again. And I just have to go on knowing this.
I did love those characters. I mean, I love the actors too, but the characters, this was a show where I felt like they developed characters in such a way that I was like, I learned life lessons from these characters.
And the actors were exactly right for the characters. Yeah. And the filmmaking, like the production studio that produced, like everything about it was just right. Sometimes you have those shows where it's just right. Yeah. And what's wild is even the characters you hated were the ones that you would like think about. Yeah. And then you would get annoyed that it was like occupying that much of your brain space. Like the amount of times that we got
into some
talk about
debate.
Yeah, like we would talk about Dome and V for like an hour straight, and then we would just look at each other and we would be like,
why are we still talking? They literally got 2 minutes of airtime in the show. Why are we still?
We would literally have an hour-long discussion and be like, why why are Chris and Portia occupying this much of our brain space? Like, it would be upsetting for us. And so, but they did that. And that's the thing too, is like, these actors are the ones that like bring them to life. And as much as it pains me to pay that compliment, like, they did that, right?
I know.
Like, they made you feel that feeling. Yeah. And so that's the show that put me in a BL Rut. My piece of advice is to ask, because, and here's why, Trevor, shout out Trevor at Trevor530 on TikTok. He recently put out a TikTok because, as we all know, Trevor is the king of BL Ruts. He's always talking about this for like as long as I've followed Trevor. It seems like every couple weeks he's like, I'm in a BL Rut, and he knows this about himself. He loves it. Go follow Trevor. He's amazing. He makes BL life so fun. Yeah. But he recently did a TikTok where he was like, these are the shows that pulled me out of my BL Rut. Which I think is a good question to ask your friends. That's the other thing, is like, if you're in a BL Rut, ask around. But I'm going to flip it on you, Trevor. I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to say, ask your friends what shows put them into a BL Rut. Ooh. Because those are the like impactful shows, right? If it's a show that like hit someone so hard that it gave them a BL existential crisis, that's probably a show you should watch.
Yeah, very true. Another show that I would love to read the book for, because I want to learn more about some of the side characters, was La Cuisine. Because that last episode, we got those side boys that like we were getting all along but didn't know.
And then the writer of the novel, who is so sweet and amazing, you should go follow her. She interacted with us and we ended up chit-chatting with her, and she was amazing. She did an Instagram live with us. She actually told us, she was like, actually in the novels they're so much more developed and you get so much more with them. And we were like, are you for real?
I need a season 2 with them.
I know. That's the spinoff I need. I love you, Mick and Pop. They can make like a fun appearance. They can be fun.
Yeah. BL Ruts, I think, are a thing that a lot of people, not usually me, go through and deal with. And so to continue on with that, asking your friends, we have an awesome Discord that we're a part of, and it's always fun to see when people are like, oh, I don't know what to watch next, I like can't figure it out, like I'm in a rut. And it's fun to go on there and see the conversations that people have had of like what they're trying to champion, what they're trying to like get other people to watch.
I love our Discord. So it's called Celestial Gear Garden. You can join it. It's in our link tree. We'll also post a link in the description of this episode. It's also really fun for me. That's the other thing, is like, go and find a Discord that you love and that are your people. For us, it's Celestial Gear Garden. But there are a few out there. I highly suggest Celestial Gear Garden. Find your people, because what I love about that Discord is like, I trust pretty much everyone in there for the most part, right? Like, I know you see the same names over and over.
Yeah.
And I love watching. So in this Discord, there's a channel for every single show that's out as it's actively airing.
Right.
I really love going in and watching like which shows are popping off and which shows are not. And interestingly, usually the shows that are like not popping off, that like the channel is not hopping, it'll be 2 people in there, and it's like me and Chris. So Chris Vigilante, if you also don't follow Chris, you should go follow Chris. He creates BL content. Follow him on TikTok and IG. He's also in the Discord with us. He watches everything. He's like you. He watches everything. And he always has opinions about everything, which I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with Chris.
I love the ones where he's just talking to himself.
Yeah. And every now and then it'll be just like me and Chris. There was a point in time where like neither of us were watching the big shows that everyone were watching, but we were both watching the little shows, and it was just us in like 3 channels just talking to each other about different it was amazing.
Cute.
But so that's another thing I like, is going in and on our Discord specifically, but you could probably like replicate this anywhere. Finding a show that maybe only like 2 people are talking about, but they're real passionate about it. That could pull you out, because those are the shows I actually tend to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Because like I see all the edits of the big shows, right? Like you're gonna, pretty quick if you're gonna be into these big shows because you see all the edits.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily know about the little shows.
Right. Yeah, very true. Another tip to get out of your BL rut, which I think we'll end on, is go watch our series Sundays. Because I love when our listeners are like, they see a series Sunday pop up, or sometimes an interview episode, and they haven't watched the series, and they like watch it a little, and then they're like, wait a second, I want to watch this because like they're talking about it.
Right. Yeah. People will be like, I watched this so that I could watch the series Sunday. That touches my heart. Every time I see something like that, it like makes me want to cry. I'm like, are you for real?
It's very sweet because it goes along with the Discord thing or with your friends where it's like you want to form your own thoughts and opinions or understand the context of what other people are talking about this show. And especially if it's a show that like they really love or they're really passionate about, it's always fun to like be on the conversation.
Yeah. So you can check out the series Sundays if you're looking for something to watch. We pretty much only do series Sundays for shows that we have passionate opinions about, either good or bad. And a lot of times we actually don't agree.
Yeah.
But at least one of us really liked the show. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing a series Sunday for it.
Very true. Yeah. For the most part, we have picked shows that we've either previously watched or we sometimes watch a show for a series Sunday. We did that for Love Stage because listeners asked for it. And then like our listeners are very much like attuned to who we are. And so I don't think we've ever gotten recommended a show that like both of us hated or like
and listeners also requested like Make Our Days Count, and I fought against that for a while because I was like, I'm not rewatching that. I can't rewatch it. The trauma. And then I ended up doing it because it got requested like so many times that I was like, oh,
we rewatched it. We didn't rewatch.
Watch last episode.
I mean, we know the last episode.
I know what happened. I don't need to relive it.
It's true.
I don't.
And so it's always fun to see and to hear what other people have to say about a show and then kind of go form your own opinion.
And I always like when people comment on our series Sundays with their thoughts, or they'll DM us. Sometimes you guys will DM us, and I really like that because like that's the whole point, is like it's a conversation. Half the time we don't agree about it anyways. So like I think the only show we didn't even fully agree on You're My Sky on Shoot My Katong Fa.
No.
Yeah. Because we flip-flopped on Don't We. For a while, you were like excusing Don't We, and I was like, how dare you? And then I flipped because I'm a softie. And I was gaslit. I maintain I was gaslit.
I think we both loved Love Stage pretty passionately.
Yeah.
We had different thoughts about certain characters, but Love Stage was a solid like, this was a good show.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a show where we had like the exact same.
Bad Buddy.
No, I think we even still, because I was just like so angry at Jimmy's character.
Yeah, I hated Jimmy's character. Why?
Why
was the worst?
I was so mad at why. I didn't even flip-flop after Nanon told me I should.
Nanon like, you have to
told me, Nanon was like, no, he's like not a bad guy. Like it's actually like not his fault. He's like, it's Pran's fault.
And to his face, you're like, okay.
And I was like, interesting.
And then after she was like, no.
I was like, oh yeah, that's so interesting, Nanon. Yeah. Yeah, I did not. He the cuteness didn't sway me on that one.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And of course, there's some good upcoming shows.
Oh, Ingredients. We both fully agreed on everything that we felt in Ingredients.
And The Moment I Need You in the Moment Since.
Yeah, we both fully agreed on everything in those shows.
And then of course we have some awesome upcoming shows. So if you're in a rut,
just wait it out.
Shows coming up.
That final piece of advice is, if you're in a rut, just wait it out. Something will come along.
Go rewatch the trailer 100 times until the show actually comes out. Because luckily now that like, you know, we've come out of like the like bulk of the crisis. Things are picking up, right? We're getting one right after the other. This GMMTV rollout this year.
They are on top of things. I cannot wait for the Eclipse. I can't wait for the Gang Baby show, which I never remember the title of. Everybody always tells me what the title of the Gang Baby show is, and I never remember it because like in my heart, literally since the day it got announced, it's been the Gang Baby show.
I gotta look this up.
So yeah, and then vice versa. Although that's like, it's kind of upcoming in that it's like next week.
Yeah.
So like it's basically here.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait that much longer.
Gang Babies, what you gonna be?
But I remember watching the Vice Versa trailer and being so excited because like for so many reasons.
Never Let Me Go.
Never Let Me Go. I'm pretty excited for that one. I think that was my most anticipated when GMMTV announced all the shows this year.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. The storyline looks so good in that first trailer, in that little clippy clip they showed us.
I think the Eclipse.
Pooin has 85 boyfriends in that.
He does.
It's
I
amazing.
love that for him. I think the Eclipse was like my most look forward to show because Neo Louis from Futs stole my heart completely, and so to see them in any form or fashion on my screen again was super exciting.
I thought Vice Versa looked really interesting when it came out, but I think of that rollout, my most anticipated is Never Let Me Go. Chimon's in it. There's so many reasons to be excited about that show.
I'm also excited about Middleman's Love and Bed Friends from Domundi. I'm excited to see Jimmy Tommy. We've both had a Jimmy Tommy awakening.
I had mine very early on. I wouldn't even call it like an awakening. I would just be like, I bought into it very quickly.
And so I'm excited. After watching their close friend episode, which I avoided for so long because I was like, whatever, I don't care about these two.
I love them.
Oh,
I especially love Tommy, but yeah. I'm really excited for Remember Me.
Yes.
The new Jaw First vehicle.
Which, speaking of, I shout about this anytime I get the chance.
Yes, you talk about the yearbook.
Go watch the yearbook.
Tell us about the yearbook.
It's available in movie form on YouTube. I haven't been able to go watch the movie because, I mean, it is pretty emotional and it's like, it's very deep, but it's so good. And the production house that is doing Remember Me put on the yearbook. Right. And so it's very excited.
Same director too.
We're also excited about Coffee Melody.
So excited I cannot even explain how excited for Coffee Melody I am. Go watch our interview with Benz and Pavel, because if you haven't bought in on the trailer, which you should. You will buy in on the chemistry of these two, because they're killing it. It surprised me a little bit. I was like, oh wow, they're like really good together. They're like really, really good together.
Enflo kills it.
And Enflo's amazing. Yeah. Everything Enflo has put out that I've seen has been top notch.
Second Chance the series is definitely one of my top favorites because
Enflo's awesome.
Tong from Ken Porsche. If you want to support Tong, which everybody should because he's killing it right now.
And Run. Yes.
Second Chance the series available on YouTube.
I'm also excited for Along Nye.
Yes.
There's so much to look forward to. So if you're in a BL Rut and none of the other pieces of advice that we've given you, just like push through. Maybe start listening to Atlas. I don't know. That's another option for you.
Stream Atlas.
Stan Atlas. Become an Alice, I think is how you pronounce them. Become an Alice.
Amazing.
In the most recent music video, they aggressively dance at a girl to like. Unclear. When I first watched the music video, I was like, they're aggressively dancing at her to make her like them. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that would work on me. But then I watched a reaction video, and according to Poom, he was like, they're trying to catch her because she's a bandit.
Right, because she's in the wanted poster at
the beginning. I thought that meant they just like were trying to find her. Like, it didn't occur to me.
Are they trying to like...
that they were trying to arrest her.
Mesmerize? Like, are they trying to like...
hypnotize her?
Thank you.
Maybe. I mean, again, it would work on me. Like fully. They started. So there's a part in the most recent music video where they aggressively dance at this girl, and no matter what the end goal is, what I'm telling you is that would work on me. Also, it's outstanding. They're finger guns, and I feel like that's all you need to know.
And we did the challenge, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So go stream Atlas. Also, go get your merch, because as we said at the beginning of this, season 2 is coming to a close, which means this merch, a handful of this merch is going bye-bye. And you should get new merch coming soon in a very fun way.
And if you are disappointed that the end of season 2 is coming up and you're like, when am I gonna see Let's Talk BL again? If this is what you're concerned about, first of all, I love you. But second of all, you can get your tickets to RightCam FanCon. Whether you come in person to RightCam FanCon and hang out with us in the IRL in the Philippines, or you get your streaming tickets, which I guarantee you'll be able to hear us, much like Off Jumpon at the
Tainu.
At that Tainu, the polka. There we go, the polka the first journey. Just trying to think of the whole name. You will be able to hear us if you're streaming live. purchase one of those tickets and either hang out with us in real life or virtually at the Rycam FanCon. It's going to be amazing. There are 54 actors going, 54 kings, if you will. Yes. Including a bunch of boys we've talked to, Joffers, Chap Green, You're My Sky, Jude My Kutong Fa.
I really hope that they dress them up in like king wear and like parade them in.
Yin War is going to be there, you guys.
That's insane.
Yin War will be there. Z Nunu will be there.
Pray for Ayla's physical well-being of like just breathing the same air. When we touch down into the Philippines and we know that we'll be breathing the same air as Yin War.
Max and Tool will be there. There's so many reasons to be so excited about the Rycam FanCon. Yeah. And if you're like, you guys, I can't afford a ticket. First of all, they're so affordable. I promise you can't. But second of all, stay tuned because on an episode coming up, if you paid attention to our stories, you know which one. We're going to be doing a giveaway for some more streaming passes. What? So
exciting.
There's your answer. If you're wondering, when can what is Let's Talk BL doing? I have so many questions about what Let's Talk BL is doing as well.
Always, daily. Ayla and I look at each other multiple times a day and we're like,
what I can say is I think the most ridiculous preview for S3.
Are we giving hints?
The most ridiculous thing is happening in relation to this merchandise. And when you see that it has happened, you will understand why I say this is quite literally the most insane thing I've ever done in my life.
But it'll make total sense.
It's absolutely absurd.
I think this last month of the podcast, we should just like drop little hints of like what's to come.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
But get your merch while you can because some of it's going away.
Yeah. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.